Welcome to this explainer. I am super thrilled to have you here today because, wow, we are looking at a literally monumental shift in how software is built. We're going to break down this massive 2026 transition from manual coding to agentic AI. We are officially moving out of that old era where you're just a coder typing away line by line and entering an era where you become a true software architect. Okay, let's just dive right in with a question that kind of challenges everything about our current workflow. What if your AI didn't just suggest the next little snippet of code, but actually built the entire application? I mean, really imagine it, having an invisible, totally tireless employee that takes your high-level instructions, plans out the architecture, and then autonomously executes complex tasks across your whole project. That's not science fiction anymore. That is the actual reality of software development today. And just to anchor all this excitement with some hard data, you really have to consider this staggering number, 55%. This is the verified average productivity gain developers are experiencing right now in 2026 when using these tools. According to recent developer surveys and Gartner research, the productivity gap between AI-assisted developers and traditional developers has just absolutely skyrocketed. We are talking about a fundamental acceleration in how fast your ideas become reality.
Section 1. The Agentic AI Revolution.
So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding what agentic AI actually is. Unlike the AI of just a few years ago, agentic AI refers to artificial intelligence systems that don't just suggest, they decide, they plan, and they autonomously execute complex tasks. Seriously. Think of it as that invisible employee we were talking about. It can implement entire features across multiple files, identify and fix bugs without you having to hold its hand, and even design and scaffold out whole databases from scratch. Let's contrast the old way with the new way. See, you want to add an authentication system to your project, right? With traditional tools, like GitHub Copilot, it just suggests the next line. You still have to open every single file and write the code. That's going to take you 2 to 3 hours of manual work. But with agentic AI tools, you literally just say, hey, add a JWT authentication system with refresh tokens. And in 10 to 15 minutes, the AI creates the files, writes the code, and configures the database. This perfectly illustrates that identity shift we mentioned earlier, going from a coder doing the typing to an architect directing the creation.
Section 2. Cursor, the VS Code King.
Backed by a massive $60 billion valuation, Cursor is dominating right now for a few key reasons. Since it's actually a fork of VS Code, all your settings and extensions, they just work instantly. But it has 3 core superpowers. First up is the Composer engine. This is a multi-file orchestration engine. You give it a complex request, like say adding Stripe payments, and it autonomously modifies dozens of files all at once. Second, it boasts a massive 200,000 token context window powered by heavy-hitting models like Claude Opus 4 and GPT-5, meaning it understands your entire codebase, not just one single file. And third, background cloud agents. On its premium tiers, Cursor acts like multiple junior devs, running tests and refactoring code in the background while you sleep.
Section 3. Windsurfing, the high-speed challenger. Now, backed by a massive $250 million acquisition from Cognition AI, the makers of Decoding, the original AI software engineer, Windsurf offers a completely different value proposition, 950. That is the jaw-dropping number of tokens per second Windsurf can generate. It uses the SWE 1.5 model running on specialized Cerebrus hardware. To put that into perspective for you, Windsurf is approximately 5 times faster than Cursor. So a task that takes Cursor 5 minutes might take Windsurf just 1 minute. And when you're doing large refactoring tasks, that speed compounds dramatically.
But beyond just speed, Windsurf caters to a very specific crowd. First, its Cascade agent is incredibly autonomous. You can tell it to set up Docker, and it doesn't just write a Docker file. It writes the compose file, runs the build, reads any errors, and fixes them completely autonomously. Second, while Cursor is locked strictly to VS Code, Windsurf acts as a plugin for over 40 IDEs, including the entire JetBrains suite. So if you are a hardcore IntelliJ or PyCharm user, Windsurf is totally your go-to. Finally, it has this awesome arena mode, which lets you run the exact same prompt through GPT-5, Claude, and Gemini simultaneously, so you can compare the absolute best approaches side by side.
Section 4. The ultimate tool showdown. When we take all these complex specs and distill them side by side, clear winners really start to emerge for different workflows. You've got Cursor at $20 a month, generating at 200 tokens a second strictly for VS Code. It is absolutely the king for full-stack developers who want a massive ecosystem and parallel background agents. Then you have Windsurf at $15 a month, so a bit cheaper, blazing fast at 950 tokens a second, supporting over 40 IDEs. It is the absolute speed demon, perfect for backend, DevOps, and JetBrains loyalists. And finally, good old GitHub Copilot at $10 a month. Now, it lacks the deep autonomous agent features and is slower at 100 tokens a second, but it remains the solid choice for large enterprises that require strict SOC 2 compliance and deep GitHub ecosystem integration.
Section 5. Building real projects faster.
All right, so in our source material, they put these tools to the test by building a complete full-stack blog platform. We're talking at Next.js frontend, Node.js backend, Postgres database, JWT authentication, rich text editing, the whole shebang, even SEO metadata. Doing that manually from scratch, that takes about 20 to 24 hours of solid, focused work. But by utilizing the Composer or Cascade agents in these IDEs, the entire project was scaffolded, written, and fully functional in just 40 minutes. I mean, wow. That is a staggering 97% time savings. You are literally doing days of labor in under an hour.
Section 6. Best practices and limitations.
Look, you are managing invisible employees now, and they need a good manager. The absolutely crucial point here is adopting what we call the 70-30 strategy. The very best results happen when you view AI as a partner, not a total replacement. You delegate the 70% to the AI, the repetitive tasks, the boilerplate code, the standard CRUD operations, and those initial setups. But you, the human architect, must fiercely own the remaining 30%. That's the overall architecture, the highly sensitive business logic, the performance tuning, and absolutely the critical security decisions. Because let's be real, AI is not perfect. You absolutely must follow a strict code review checklist. You have to verify security. AI can sometimes miss edge cases in input validation or, worse, leave secrets exposed. You have to check error handling and review performance for things like unoptimized database queries. But most importantly, you have to watch out for hallucinations. Even in these advanced systems, during complex requests, they still fabricate incorrect code, use non-existent APIs, or grab outdated libraries about 5 to 10% of the time. You are the final line of defense here. The AI might build the house, but you have to make sure the foundation is rock solid. Which leaves us with this final, somewhat provocative thought. As we navigate 2026, the developers who really thrive won't be those who resist these tools. They're going to be the ones who master them. The barrier to entry for building complex software has literally never been lower, and a single developer can now output the work of an entire team. So the question is, are you ready to step up from being just a coder to a true software architect, or are you willing to risk falling behind? I'd highly recommend you go download one of these free tiers today, start building, and step right into the future of development. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.